Hey, and welcome to another episode of the DVD Bunker. I'm Brian. This is Matt.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So this show is where we go through my personal DVD collection, and we watch movies that either I don't remember all that well or that I really like, but I feel like nobody else really remembers. And we try to determine if I made a good choice by buying them.
Sounds good.
It's been going okay so far.
Yeah, I've been having a blast for sure.
And I feel like my choices are getting validated, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I got a good record so far. So today's pick, and I want to give a shout out to Ashley and Kimber from the Unofficial Fan Fights family. Kimber, the co-host of Odd Shape Panel.
Yep.
And Ashley, a fierce fan friction fighter in her own right.
One of my favorites.
And,
Second favorite.
and a fact checker. Good fact
she's
checker,
great.
too.
I like her.
Solid fact checker. So they recommended, and we're going to do Stay Tuned, 1992's classic Stay Tuned.
Like a classic.
So, basic plot of the movie is a family gets a new cable satellite dish, and it's through some means sucks them into television. And they kind of live in television and have an adventure through. I don't remember it that well. That's why we're watching it.
Yeah,
so.
I think that it's all a like sort of dark turn on television.
Right,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
definitely. Definitely heavy satire. I'm sure a stark criticism of the television and popular culture.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be very topical to the early 90s, I have a feeling.
Dark, a lot of you know, I don't know. But yeah, the satire I'm sure will be strong with this one.
Absolutely.
So did you did a little research on it? Did you come up with anything interesting before we get started?
Things. I think there's over 25 pop culture references in this movie, rather. And I will say this is the first one that we have done that is just a flat-out bust as far as financially.
Oh, right. It's a big bomb.
$25 million to make, and it made about $10 million at the box office total. So, and that $25 million was kind of like a guesstimate. It was hard to find information on. But, I mean, this movie released the week after Unforgiven, and the same weekend as Single White Female, and I think even Three Ninjas was in there somewhere. So it had absolutely zero chance.
Even if it would have just been those movies, it could have maybe got the family element, but Three Ninjas took that too. It's like, no, you can't even have kids. We're taking kids. Nobody's going to see your movie. Adults will be seeing high-quality thrillers and westerns, and the kids will be seeing a knockoff of the Ninja Turtles.
We'll see Jonathan Taylor Thomas or one of those kids from Home Improvement.
Oh, is that an Home Improvement kid in it?
Yeah, one of them was in there.
Oh man, sure. I don't remember that movie. It's not in the bunker. I can tell you right now, there's no Three Ninjas down here.
Sorry.
There's plenty of martial arts movies down here, but no Three Ninjas. So last little thing before we get started, I want to go over is talk a little bit about the cast and the director. Yeah. Obviously the big star John Ritter in this one. Now. More of a TV guy, you know, Three's Company, and also had some successful TV shows after, like into the 90s, and in fact was even on one when he passed, was on a pretty successful show.
Yeah.
But dabbled in movies. This is after the Problem Child movies. Stay tuned. Yeah, definitely. I think those were some of his biggest movies. He has a really good little dramatic turn in Sling Blade.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Oh, but before we go, we gotta talk about the director, Peter Hyams. So. First thing I noticed on his list of credits was he did 2010, the sequel to Kubrick's 2001. Now, if there's one thing you don't want to attempt as a director, it's probably to do a sequel to a Kubrick movie.
Who said yes to that? Oh.
You know, he just a short straw situation. They're someone's going to make this movie. We need a director. You got a group of them who are all under contract, and you come in and you're like, all right. Who picked the short straw? So, that's just a rough go. That's a no-win situation. After this, he went on a little run where he worked with Van Damme. He's kind of become an action guy. He did Time Cop, which we'll probably visit on this show. And then he did Sudden Death, which I feel like is lesser Van Damme. Sudden Death, you know, that's Die Hard in a hockey rink.
Yeah, Van Damme wanted to say, let's get the hockey fans out the theaters.
Well, you know, in the post-Die Hard era, basically from 88 to 98, you could just... A guy in any setting against terrorists.
With a lot of people.
Right, yeah. As long as the setting is big enough so he can, walk climb through an air vent or something and shimmy between walls or hang off of pipes or whatever.
And I think they had that idea that somebody sitting in a room just said, the more people, the higher the stakes.
Right.
What's more than some sort of sporting event?
Well, I mean, like Last Boy Scout, they did the whole arena, they did the football stadium, obviously Under Siege did the battleship, so these are all good.
I know, they're all amazing. But go ahead.
But like I said, Sudden Death was, is okay. But then after that came The Relic, which I think is a really underrated monster movie. In fact, if you go back and watch my fan fiction championship bout, you'll note that I picked The Thing as the best movie monster. But my number 2 pick was the monster from The Relic. I think he's a really He's a really interesting. He eats the things that he ingests. He like takes on properties of that animal. Yeah. So we had all these weird, cool adaptations, and the more people he ate, the smarter he got, because he sucked their brains out basically and got smarter. So I mean, yeah, it's a B monster movie, but like a good one, a high-end B monster movie.
This guy's done some good stuff. I will say though too, they did try to get Tim Burton, believe it or not, to direct this, who for some reason turned it down for some lesser-known movie called Batman Returns, which also came out in 1992.
Oh gee whiz, I'm sorry, I couldn't do Batman. I'm too busy doing a follow-up to the biggest movie of my career. I can't come and do Stay Tuned.
I mean, who wanted to make that phone call to say, like, you got to call Burton to see if he'll do this? Like, I don't want to call it. But there was actually a second director to this movie who only directed the animated parts of this movie. His name was Chuck Jones. Now,
in the Chuck Jones.
The Chuck Jones.
Okay, right on.
Marvin the Martian, Coyote and the Roadrunner.
Like, of Looney Tunes fame, Chuck Jones.
So I probably think I'm looking forward, because it's probably the most well-done part of this movie. The
it almost have to be.
Because, I mean, he's a legend.
Right. I mean, he literally created some of the most memorable characters in the pop culture lexicon. So likely he did a fair job on this, too.
I think you're probably right.
All right, so we ready to go get started?
Yeah, let's watch. Stay tuned.
Awesome. All right, we're fresh off of our viewing of Stay Tuned.
Absolutely.
So let's chat about it. So you got loser John Ritter, who just sits on the couch all day, and then his wife is a cliche also, because she's like overworked or like super work-oriented mom.
She's ambitious too.
Right, ambitious mom.
That feeling.
But like in that way where some movies make that seem like a really bad thing. There's movies where it's like, well, at the expense of her marriage and her relationship.
It makes it seem like her ambition is just like, it's just a bummer for John
Exactly.
Ritter.
It's just an obstacle in their marriage.
Yeah, exactly. Of his wanting to just do nothing but watch television.
When it's like, thank goodness she's ambitious, because you're a loser who barely can sell plumbing supplies or whatever he does.
Job,
you just sit on your ass and watch TV all the time.
Yeah. He's a horrible.
Yeah.
He's not that you don't want to root for him.
No, not particularly.
But then that's the other theme of this movie. That this is where you get the mixed messages. Throughout the movie, John Ritter's knowledge of television by sitting there is eventually what begins to save them.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They're like, don't watch TV; it's bad for you. But
it
died quick.
It did kind of help save these guys' lives all through the movie.
They would have died so fast if it wasn't for him.
So he sets up this huge, cable setup, big satellite dish and everything. Pam Dawber comes home. What a surprise! She's not happy.
Yeah.
While she is like packing up to leave, he still doesn't notice. He's just messing around with the satellite because he wants to watch his new TV. He doesn't even notice that his wife is leaving him and it's not working, so he goes to start messing around with it.
Yeah.
And then she's out there screaming at him, our marriage is over.
You thought I ignored you when I had a 27-inch black and white. I got a 60-inch. He lists off all the technological.
Oh, man. It's a big classic early 90s, like
you're done.
The wood paneling around the projection screen television, very high-class
stuff.
This is
where we start to see something's wrong, though, because then we see that these channels aren't quite like your regular.
Right.
Before he's even watching Doogie, and then he's watching real TV.
Right. And then there's all the shows are kind of like twists on pop culture references. They're all things that kind of exist. Like I'll give the first example, I think, is the Three Men and Rosemary's Baby. So you have all the lookalikes for Three Men and a Baby, and then the baby puke shoots out and sprays on everything. So everything's got this kind of demonic twist to it, a little bit of like a evil or hell turn, you know. Again, more not so subtle allusion to the religious kind of like pseudo.
They sell it right away. They get them into it real quick.
Well, I mean, so quick that when Jeffrey Jones when Spike leaves the house, he drives into a pit and like, he goes down John Ritter's like, that's a dead end, and he's cackling, and then his car drives, a pit opens up in the ground, and his car drives down into it.
I said, can't I come on that ride?
Yeah, exactly. It's like
I'm in the truck of that car.
That's pretty cool. It's even better than the entrance to the Batcave. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty tight.
I want to say though, this movie set in 1992. This is the devil. Their technology looks like it's from the early 1950s, decommissioned Soviet military equipment that they have down this bunker, and their satellite dish.
We know bunker, and they are clearly in an old time bunker.
This equipment they have is not even close to what they had in the early 90s.
No, they're behind the times. Although their universal remote does look pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's where all the money went. Awesome. They didn't have any money left after they did the remote first.
It's all
like, what are we gonna do about this?
It's all
aboard with lights.
I love that when Spike first shows up, all he does is show John Ritter the remote, and John Ritter's like, it's just a remote control that like's got some blinking lights on it and stuff. There's no, and he's like, like I would be like, I mean, yeah, I love television, but what? You're just showing me a remote control.
He's the heroin addict, and that's his fancy.
New needle.
Yes, new needle.
Fair enough.
So he's excited.
So before we get into them getting sucked in, let's touch real quick on Spike, played by well-known 80s and 90s staple Jeffrey Jones.
Creepy, overall creep.
Right, always plays a creep. You know, he was the principal in Ferris Bueller. Mm-hmm. He's the dad. He's Lydia's dad in Beetlejuice. Jeffrey Jones plays a classic creep because he's a classic creep in real life.
Yeah, that's true.
In 2003, he was busted with child pornography and soliciting a 14-year-old boy to take naked pictures for him. So
you gotta strike him off the list.
Yeah, that's
shorter and shorter.
Right. He's on he fell into that Cosby level of it's uncomfortable now every time I see you in something. Like, even when you enjoy him in something, you feel guilty because you're like, but behind the scenes,
one of those moments.
It bums you out.
That was literally in the back of my mind. This whole movie is just like,
that bums me out.
But
yeah, he's always good in that type of role. But it turns out it's because he's a real life creeper.
Mm-hmm. That's why.
All right, so they get sucked into the satellite dish, and this is where we start our kind of like channel surfing, and basically the whole premise of the movie, which is probably what they came up with first before they put the loose plot around it.
Yeah.
So we talked about how this movie is basically built as a place to reference movies and TV shows, right?
Yeah.
So both of us were trying to keep track throughout. Our counts were somewhere in the 30s at least, right?
Over 30, Brian, and there's way too many of these to just read off right now. So I'm just going to have them list here for you.
Golden Girls, Three's Company, Beverly Hillbillies, Godzilla, MTV, R.I.P., Driving Miss Daisy, Wayne's World, I Love Lucy, Obligatory Workout Video, Film No Ear, Nor... You know what I mean. Candid Camera, Murder, She Wrote, Different Strokes, that commercial where speakers blow wind at that guy in a chair, Maxell, I think, Home Shopping Network, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Hitch Sucks, Star Trek The Next Generation, Sports, Facts of Life, Married with Children, Yogi Beer, Dukes of Hazzard, and 3 Men and a Baby.
And then what the real climax of our movie ends in a Salt and Pepper video with the real Salt and Pepper and kind of a game of keep away with some dancers.
The great fight at the end of this movie is the widest dancing that you've ever seen. That's what
you have
determines
two guys who first of all you have John Ritter dressed as Prince.
So great,
which is timely because we just lost R.I.P. Prince.
Yeah.
But there was a time where just dressing up in the Prince outfit was enough to get a laugh.
Oh yeah.
And
he did okay. He was capable of dancing, but
He was more doing like shtick.
Right, because he's
like,
more being a
fake.
physical comedian. He's more doing silly dancing.
Yeah.
Nobody looked more out of place than
I think
Jeffrey Jones in a
goes
Salt and
for
Pepper
it.
video.
I think he goes for it, and he fails horribly.
Fails miserably. Yeah, nobody looks more out of place than Jeffrey Jones, which you would expect. I mean, I guess maybe he's supposed to. That's part of it. But they got him in like the black leather jacket with the popped collar, and his hair's got a streak of white in it. In
He's
this part,
always
he's very
dressed like the coolest. He's also like the DJ at the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
He's
that's
throwing
right.
Records down
That's right.
trying to kill John Ritter. So he's, Spinderella's off the table.
Spinderella taking a break.
DJ Spike's taking over for this next one.
Yeah, yep.
Which is, and then that's it. And then he zaps him away.
Yeah, and then he gets, and literally, like, all he does is he gets, there's, like I said, there's the dance, game of keep away with the dancers.
Yeah.
And then Salt and Pepper basically just get the remote, walk up, look at both of them, look at John Ritter and Jeffrey Jones, and then just decide to give it to.
It's like they're prisoners too in
Yeah.
this hell. They've signed a
And
bad
maybe
contract
they
to
realize
work down
that,
here.
he's proven himself and he's
Yeah.
deserving,
With
so
the
they
volume,
hand
I
it
really
over.
when
You
they
think the
break,
volume is
they
part of
turn
it.
down the volume on accident, and the guy's going like this, shaking it, and then they turn it up, and it's like purple at the end. You're like, why is it purple? It's because he's no longer.
It has something to do with
Yeah.
this purity level.
Yeah,
That's how
and
they
that's
rate
how they
them.
know. This movie. It's like
You
Lost.
always
It's
you
like
always
the
find
levels are like
you
Lost,
always find
man.
the deeper levels. You're looking so deep into these
like an
movies.
onion,
You find the little nuances.
And I think
you know?
that's really the message is it's okay to embrace your past even while you're changing. So even while he comes out of this TV watching phase, he still embraces who he is because he becomes a fencing coach.
Right.
Once they make their way out, they save you
true.
from the train. Turn off the TV, you're back.
Yeah, he
The train
zaps Jeffrey Jones into another channel and just kind of leaves him, in a prison of his own making, which is appropriate for a
Yeah.
villain in this type
Well,
of movie.
you get that. Levy gets the final kill.
Yeah.
On the dog.
Levy gets to come back and get his
Payout.
revenge.
Payout.
Yeah.
7, cha-ching, cha-ching. It all comes.
It all
back
comes
around.
full circle,
Oh.
and then like you said, they're out. Their marriage is happy again because he gives up his TV watching ways. They say he only watches 60 Minutes now, and he opens a fencing school.
Yeah, but let me posit something else to you, Brian. It's the young boy that's narrating, and we don't actually, I don't think, see Pam Dawber after
That's
they
true,
do that. It's
that's
just him at his
true.
fencing classes, and I gotta think, even selling plumbing is probably more lucrative than like a couple hours a week teaching kids fencing class. I mean, what's the need in Seattle?
You
for
gotta
fencing classes?
imagine that because he had a nice studio and everything in like a brick front,
It's expensive,
like
a lot of
downtown brick front.
not the margins are slim.
Yeah.
Pam Dawber left
You
him.
think Pam Dawber left
The kid
him?
is just telling the story the way he wants it to be.
Oh
Which it
man,
didn't really turn out that way
so deep.
because it's in real life.
That's sad.
An
That's
adventure
dark,
through
man.
hell.
That's dark.
Not good
That's
enough.
darker than it being hell. Is just that kid's sad, like his denial about his parents' marriage.
Yeah, and
it's
that's the
much
thing,
sadder.
And the whole message is sometimes nobody's corrupt. Sometimes they're both pure at heart. And sometimes
Fair
it just
enough.
doesn't work out. Kid, you got to learn. So yeah, this message is it's important to young people everywhere. And I will say, while we watched this, I realized I've seen this movie no less than 10 times. So I watch it.
You have no memory of it when you were going in, and then as soon as we
every
started to
moment.
watch it, you were like, "Oh yeah, I know what's coming."
Oh, that was so good too.
So how did it compare to your 10-time watching memory?
Oh my god, it really was. It took me back to being 10 years old again because I honestly think I saw this when it came out in the theaters. It came on cable, and I just watched it every time I was
Yeah.
on cable. So this is 20 years ago, and then I think I just kind of lost it. Like they took it off, they weren't showing it anymore, and then that was
Yeah.
it. And
Now
haven't
it's
seen it
back,
since,
baby.
and every beat, the wrestling, we didn't talk about the
Oh
wrestling.
yeah, they do a big
Oh, they
professional
love the
wrestling.
Professional wrestling. That's where the mom is still kind of saving them, at that
Yeah,
point too.
yeah.
And then Ritter starts to turn around after that. But every moment I was just elated.
The parts that I remembered about it are the best parts.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
Like the reason that I remember the cartoon part is because it's the highlight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So going back and watch it, you remember like why the highlights are the highlights because there are some really great moments in it. Anything that stood out to you that was different this time when you were watching it?
It was just that it was so much better, and I was really ready for the parodies to be kind of timed out and cheesy, which some of them are. You have to be an older person.
I was gonna say, do you think somebody who's like 10 years younger than us could get some of the?
It depends on what they're into. I mean, if you're somebody that likes television from the early '90s and movies from the early '90s, then you would probably get a lot of it because it's pretty famous stuff.
Well, so much stuff out there is pop culture referential now. Anyway, this feels like a precursor to something like Family Guy that's just taking a lot of pop culture references and throwing them at you and giving you little twists on them and stuff. So I feel like this could speak to that kind of, our modern audience who gets into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think absolutely. And I think sometimes the fun part of this is when you don't get a reference and you're like, oh, what is that? And you look it up. And you kind of find out and you're like, oh, okay.
Learn a little something new.
I'm always doing that with all those comic book movies they make now. I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, like what, he can fly. I'm typing that into Google. Fly. He's purple. Some sort of jewelry seems to be controlling him. Now I know about Vision.
Now I know about Vision.
So.
That's good. That's solid. Hey, people don't understand how great it is. Kids these days, let me go on my old man. Kids these days don't understand when there used to be a time when you'd be having a conversation with your friends and you couldn't just figure out the answer.
Yeah.
You'd be having a discussion like an argument and you couldn't just go to Google and get the right answer. You would have to leave it open-ended. And usually the person who just presented their argument more confidently, you thought they were right.
Yeah, that was it. We're not great debaters anymore.
No, you're just like, oh, well, let's just settle this. Google it up.
Yeah, those were some interesting moments, but sometimes a guy that you knew was wrong just gave a better argument. You were just furious.
Oh, I know.
So you would just
or it would be one of those things where they'd be talking and you'd be like, well, no, actually, but you couldn't prove it, and that's so frustrating. They're like, I don't think so, blah blah blah. Shut up! I hate you so much.
John Ritter. We embrace who we were before then.
That's right.
We move forward.
We also move forward into the future and use Google and IMDb to our benefit.
Dump our old ladies and start teaching fits.
That's right. Kick Pam Dawber to the curb and start a fencing school.
Right on the cusp. She had to go.
So, anything to jump? What's your favorite things from your most recent rewatch?
I would say the wrestling match. I really just got excited about the wrestling. John Ritter. Just all across the board, everything he did was so funny.
Yeah, definitely John Ritter and all his physical comedy, and
Pam
he's
Dawber
just so
too.
good. Pam Dawber was good in it, even though she has kind of an unforgiving wife role to play. Yeah, her character kind of sucks.
But yeah, and it just every scene, even at the very end, where you're kind of like, okay, the end was really disappointing, and they just kind of got to it, and that was it, and the movie's over. But up to that point, he brought it with. I just can't believe. This isn't more of a classic, man. I just loved it.
I loved when Mrs. Seidelbaum gets crushed by Godzilla. That's a hilarious moment.
How was her soul so corrupt? I really want to know what she did. Like, I feel like they had just
was
come
she
back
so
from
horrible?
A person or something. They didn't show that part. They had to cut it.
She was so horrible. She had to get stomped by Godzilla.
Yeah, they were in Asia, and she bought a child black market, and they were put him in a rickshaw, and then that's why Godzilla. He was like, "I told you those dirty."
They're awful.
They were.
They're terrible people.
About it for years. And this satellite dish gave him the chance.
And one of my favorite things about this movie, and I did remember this going in, but I wanted to make sure I saw it and make sure it lived up to my memory, is a really horrible special effects gaffe in it. There's a moment where when the kid first realizes that things can get sucked into the big satellite, he's like holding on. They're doing that classic, there's a wind tunnel and he's holding onto a pole and he's getting sucked in. That. But you can actually see somebody's hands holding the kid up under his armpits, lifting him up. And there's clearly just a wind machine blowing in his face. But there's just hands gently cradling a young boy.
I just thought that was Jeffrey Jones just trying to grab that kid and just.
That was actually a little behind the scenes footage from Jeffrey Jones's trailer.
If you run it backwards, he looks like he's lifted him up, and we'll just run it. Just try to cut that as much of that out as you
Jeffrey Jones was like, "You guys need any help on the stunt team today? Saying, does that young lad need me to lift him into the air?"
Don't worry about this fake mustache I took from props.
I was wondering do you think he should be wearing a shirt in this? I think maybe it'd be better if he didn't have a shirt on.
Maybe the wind is so strong it just pulls his shirt
rips his young shirt off, revealing his young boy boy body. I don't know. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, guys.
I'm just a stunt guy today. I'm just here for you guys.
I just want to help out in any way I can.
The fuck back to your trailer.
Dude, that Jeffrey Jones, man.
Did you see him grab that kid? We're all standing around filming. Just grabs him. Oh my gosh.
All right, now I want to talk about some dislikes. Do you even have any? You seem like you just are in love.
Even the end was like, okay, it was like getting a pizza without a topping with a topping that you didn't like. It's like, okay, I can pick these olives off. Right. But really, it's like I got a salt and pepper video and they danced, so that was the end. So it wasn't. It
was pretty anticlimactic to end your movie. Like they had the sword fight. But then the real end of the movie is the salt and pepper video and the kind of keep away with the dancers.
Yeah, I think that they just didn't want to have John Ritter kill him, and the kid saves the sword, throws the sword down and saves his dad, and then they really fight, and then they didn't want to be like, they were like, oh, you can't just like slash his throat.
So, and how does your movie end? Well, John Ritter murders the guy, obviously.
What do you guys think? Music video?
Yeah. Hey,
my sister's cousin's friends with Will.
I was going to say, my agent is also Salt and Pepper's agent.
20 minutes later.
Whatever. Like, what company did this? It's Warner Brothers. So did they have their recording contract with Warner Brothers? They're like, we can get Salt and Pepper.
It wasn't that good of a song either. I can't remember what it was called.
No, it wasn't like one of their hits. It wasn't like one of their big hits.
It was written not by them, but somebody else for this movie, and they just performed it. And kind of, there were moments where they were just standing around. I didn't even know if you noticed that. There was a moment where the remote kind of went flying, and some people were like half dancing, and you see like Salt and Pepper just kind of standing around. Like one of them just like shrugged, like, what was that?
They're like, hey, we're trying to film a music video over here, guys.
Screw it, just zap them into that TV.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
For 15 more minutes, man. I gotta figure this out.
Yeah, you talked about the wrestling. I did like the wrestling bit, but it did have that annoying moment. Which I referred to as the Spaceballs moment, where Pam Dawber can only fight back after her hair is damaged. You know, she's such a lady that she's all, and then something happens to her hair. She's like, what? My hair? And then she, like, takes off and starts fighting. So that's a little, I mean, not to get too feminist on us here, but that's not too progressive there.
You're looking at it wrong. It was her hair, but it was like, she held it over her head, and she's like, my hair? Like, you hold my hair over your head? Like,
yeah, it's because she was championing it, okay.
Serious? Yeah, it was like, I can't believe that, It's like if somebody, stole my glasses or something like that, and they held them over their head.
Snap.
Glasses? Really, dog?
Not cool, man.
Yeah,
like, it's one thing to beat me up and pull out some of my hair, but then to parade around the ring with it, now I'm enraged.
Yeah, that's what I think it was. I don't think it was like...
That's what I
put in, because I thought that too. Like,
so, but you're also a huge misogynist too.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I was rooting against it. Right. I actually wanted John Ritter to team up with the other male wrestler and beat both.
You were like, what would be really realistic if like they interrupted her shoe shopping and that's why she got mad.
The satellite zaps her from across.
From what I know about women, it's probably that she's upset about what a bad driver she is. That's why she can't.
You will notice there, when she was saving him, there was no driver. He was actually the driver when they saved him. Can't have that woman driving.
No. You got to keep that continuity straight.
Yeah. But that's when they turn around. Once he got behind the wheel of that car, actually, that's when it switched, and Ritter became the hero. Like,
Ritter became a true action hero
we're
now.
Driving. Things are getting serious now, ma'am. Okay, we're on the road. Time to let the man take over. Oh, that's perfect.
So now I'm going to bring up the thing that I thought was the worst thing in the movie.
The credits?
No, that was lazy too. But no, the kids. I think the kids were just horrible. Yeah. Oh man, the daughter is just insufferable. She's... like, not only is like the character just horribly written, but the actress is like kind of like just hateful, like her voice is real whiny and she's real just nasty to her brother. But the kid also is annoying and whiny and like, your mom and dad are in the TV.
I think that was just his general inflection as a
person. He sucks. His general inflection as a person sucks. He was awful. The kids were terribly written and they were terribly performed.
She was hard to watch for sure, because I would put her as a bigger villain above Jeffrey Jones in this movie. She just fails
just as
to
her
understand.
just as her lack of like ability to comprehend what's going on.
Just another incapable lady. They should have flipped it and had the girl been.
So let's get a character corner. I think I tipped my hand because I am a huge Eugene Levy fan.
Yeah, we picked the same one this time.
Yeah, he's the
far.
best, and there's really not a lot of notable side characters in. I think the guy maybe who plays Maury Sidebomb would be my second choice. He's pretty decent.
In a little bit, and then the
and he's like a
guy.
but I think Eugene Levy steals the show. I'm a huge Christopher Guest fan. He's in all those of, Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, A Mighty Wind, For Your Consideration. He's great in all those. Obviously, broke out to the populace. He's been around since SCTV.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time.
He was basically the comedy partner of John Goodman.
Wow.
Or not John Candy. John Candy, and they kind of came up together through SCTV, and if you go back and watch John Candy movies, a lot of Eugene Levy pop up in those.
Yeah.
He'll show up in a lot of those.
There then isn't Armed and Dangerous, the two of them together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like they're like buddies, and that's like literally a buddy movie with
He brings
them.
it. He's funny in every scene.
Yeah.
Because he does like a lot of physical. He's always getting torn up, so he's always missing another limb, kind of hopping around.
Oh yeah, he gets to do some of that stuff. So
pretty good.
definitely, hands down, Eugene Levy's the best for this.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now it's time for that part of the show where we determine if this was a goodbye, as in money well spent, or goodbye, as in you're out of here because you are a piece of crap. What do you think?
I think yes. This is maybe the best purchase anyone's ever made. Not even in the realm of media. Just anywhere at any time, whatever you paid for this movie, buy it over and over. This is Google.
I can't feel as strongly as you do because it's a little closer for me because I feel like when this movie falls, it falls hard.
Yeah.
Like the end of this movie is a skid. Like they clearly had their idea of we want to put a guy gets sucked into TV. And then they came up with their idea of like the framework of the hell TV system and all that. But then they still didn't really come up with a good way to end it, and it just kind of putters out at the end.
Yeah, even if they would have ended it at the sword scene, which is where I recommend you stop it. He wins the sword scene, stop the movie, he kills her.
Yeah, just pretend that he kills
Nothing else
him and saves the
matters.
life and skip the salt and pepper bit altogether.
Yeah, skip salt and pepper. Watch it, put that to the credits. Watch that as the
watch the salt and pepper vid as the credits. I like
show
that.
The dancing without the kind of fighting, just show them kind of mixing around, make that the credits.
That's really
and
good.
That's the way you watch the movie.
No wonder your editing has been getting so tight on these DVD bunker videos. You've really got an eye for it now.
You'll see the salt and pepper sequence play during the credits of
this episode.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah, but I also feel like as much as it gets wrong, there's so much right with it. The parodies are strong, like the jokes are solid. John Ritter, as a piece of John Ritter media, of which we are getting no new John Ritter media, I feel like it stands up as like a good example of what was funny about him and why he was great.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do feel like its original premise of the people being pulled into television is pulled off pretty well, and especially in like some of the segments, like obviously the cartoon segment, the game show segment, some of the ones that really nail the type of show they're trying to, I feel like they do a pretty solid job.
Oh, yeah.
So even though it overall isn't a great movie, I still feel glad that I bought it. I'm glad it's part of my collection.
Yeah. Oh, and you should be, man, because you know what? It's not going to be part of your collection very long because I'm probably just going to take it when I leave.
I'm just going to. Hey, what's that weird rectangle shape under your shirt? No, don't worry about that. It's fine.
Oh yes, believe it. Whew.
All right, so I think that's about it. Have we said all we need to say about Stay Tuned? Is there anything else? Final thoughts?
No, just if you get a chance to watch the first 80 minutes of this movie.
It's true. You can just like like you said, once they, you have Pam Dawber strapped to the train tracks, you have the sword fight. fast forward to when he saves her, and then the end.
You're done,
skip
man.
over everything except when he saves her. Don't worry, who cares about the fencing school? Who cares about the salt and pepper video? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we'll get that in the credits. And
That's right.
Cut
that. Move it to the credits. Editor Matt would like to suggest he's going to jump in his time machine, go back to 1992, try to help out the editor. Stay tuned.
No, look closely in that video. I'm actually one of the dancers. This version of me, grown-up me, I'm not going back in time to change that movie. I'm just going to hide in the background and just shake it.
There's nothing to change.
That's actually,
I just want to be part of that. I just want to be part of that party.
Oh, it's perfect. But make sure you let us know if there's anything we missed that you love about this movie.
Oh, yeah, as always, follow us on Twitter, at Hurstcules.
At the Drunksman.
Yeah, and hashtag DVD Bunker. Talk to us about Stay Tuned. Like this video, subscribe to the Unofficial Fan Fights, watch all the other great shows that are on here. Hopefully by the time this airs, I'll have had my fan fiction battle with Hector Navarro.
Yeah,
I get to battle an internet celebrity. That's really cool. I hope he didn't beat me too badly. I'm not putting my title on the line, by the way. No way.
This is exhibition only?
Well, we're gonna let this internet hotshot walk away with our title. Like, we might never come back.
This is where I'm gonna cut the video to the video of you going, I want to be a fighting champion. I want to fight and win. I want to be a fighting champion.
Well, come on. Shouldn't the man have to win one fight before he gets a shot at my title? He gets to walk in off the, Mr. Big Shot Internet, and I get to get. No way. Yeah. I hard fought. I have 2 wins under my belt to earn that title.
You can't create a new title and not expect people to come sniffing around, man.
Well,
and you got to defend it.
I'll put it here. Here's the thing. If he beats me in our first altercation and he wants to come back, I'll put the title on the line.
Then it's on the line. Okay.
I'll put the title on the line.
Win one in the division.
You got to win one. You got to put your mark on the board. You got to show that you're a player.
Which means I'm not going to put it up again until he comes back. So
cut to me hiding
with one defense.
One defense. I'm a paper champ.
That's amazing.
Thanks to all. Yeah, like I said, follow Unofficial Fan Fights. Watch Fan Fiction. Watch the Odd Shape panel. Thanks to Ron for the music.
Thanks again, Ron.
Bye.
Bye.
The